Mr. Weaver, this is Mark Young, production manager at WATN, WLMT in Memphis. Jerry Walsh wanted me to get in touch with you about some lighting issues that we were having. I know you were here last year at one point to add some lights for our sports and meteorologist. Our meteorologist has since moved on, and we have appropriated some of the lights that you added for him to help add some extra light to Katina, our anchor here that you can see right now. But Jerry wanted me to get in touch with you again because we're also looking at some other experimental shots that we probably need some more lights for. But I wanted to start with this specific one here at the two-shot on the main anchors. If you remember, I know the original lighting, we had Joyce and Cameron up there. So one of the things I did was take two of the lights that you had added for Paul in the Weather Center and added them to Katina to give her a little bit more light there. Most everybody is pretty, I mean, it certainly looked better than it did. But one of the things I wanted to point out to you is whenever we move Katina to her one shot, as you can see, the side closer to the lights is obviously a little bit lighter than the side facing the newsroom. So basically what we were wondering is trying to get more lights to add on the outside shot, but kind of almost like a backlight, but not quite, something that we could add that will add a little bit of extra color to the side of her face facing the newsroom. And same issue with our other anchor on camera 3. As you can tell, a little bit the same there. The lights are, the extra lights I added don't really hit Brandon as much on the studio side, but on the newsroom side, as you can see, there's a little bit of shadow there on the left side of his nose and on the left side of his face. So again, just something there that we could add on the outside edge there that maybe could hit both of them, or add maybe a one-lighter on both of them on the back side without throwing too much shadow the other direction. Also, back on the two-shot, one of the things that, camera 2, there you go. Up underneath their faces, there is some shadows up underneath there. What we wanted to investigate was adding something called a chin light, perhaps something that we could add kind of along where their hands are on the bottom of the desk right there, kind of shining upward, just to give them a little bit of lighting from underneath. I experimented with not a great fluorescent light, but it was without any kind of focus or anything on it, and it was kind of spreading it everywhere. But again, your thoughts on that would be greatly appreciated, because we definitely kind of want to just kind of make everything, get rid of all the shadows. As you can see, like underneath both of their chins, there is some darker areas there. Just something that we could possibly add to take care of that. All right, Mr. Weaver, the next shot we wanted to show you, this is one that we have been experimenting with, trying to play, just because we want to try and add some new shots to our arsenal of camera shots. This one would be some kind of intro or perhaps headline two-shot here. As you can see, Katina looks darker here than she did at the main set. And one of the things we looked at, if they actually switch places, Katina gets a lot, well, perhaps not a lot, but somewhat lighter. And part of that are some of the lights that you added whenever Gil, our sports guy, was standing there. But for consistency's sake, we are trying to keep them in the same general order with Katina on Brandon's left. And as you can see from that one, she is darker in that position, whereas Brandon, for the most part, looks okay there. Perhaps a tiny bit washed out, but most definitely, this is something that we're looking at to try and add. So again, any thoughts or any ideas what you think we might be able to add there, even if it's just a one-lighter, perhaps a two-lighter, would be beneficial for us. All right, Mr. Weaver, this is one where this is our traffic center that you had lit. For the most part, we have not used the traffic center as much. Our traffic guy has decided to use more of the BAM shot, which is to the left of the screen. But one of the things we were wanting to add was possibly sort of turning this into kind of an unofficial breaking news center if something happens, having both of our anchors there in the middle of the island. And as you can tell, even from that, Katina is definitely dark there, and even Brandon's a little bit dark. So again, we were looking at trying to add more lights into this area, possibly changing some of those background monitors so that everything is a little more breaking news-ish, if that's what we decide to use it for, or for elections. And it would probably be one of two things, either a shot similar to this, where we're seeing some kind of action going on in the BAM in addition to the anchors there, or an actual tighter two-shot here is a possibility, or if we actually show a little bit more of it, again, trying to keep them centered in the middle of that local 24. But either way, any way you paint it, just some more lights there in the traffic center, especially because this is one that we are particularly wanting to use at some point. But as you can see, Katina definitely looks dark right there. So again, any of your thoughts for that would be greatly appreciated. Next one, this one is for our weather center. And again, I know you had added some lights here, and I will admit these are some of the ones that I took away once Paul no longer worked here to add to the main set. So perhaps adding those back or adding another one back would be helpful. I can also tell you right now that one of the two lighters that was on the Weather Center set has actually died, so it's currently being repaired. So we are down one light there. However, even in this scenario, as you can see, pretty much all the light is hitting John and not hitting Katina. So what we had talked about, they're kind of standing maybe 4 or 5 feet out from the back of the Weather Center. We wouldn't mind lighting this particular spot, or even if they were further back next to the monitor, if there was something story specific they wanted to discuss in there. As you can tell, that entire area back there is nothing lit. So I don't know if that is something that you think we even need to work on, or if it's or if you just would rather keep them out further from the monitor. But again, Jerry wanted me to try and go over all of this stuff with you and get your recommendations for everything. Another shot that we have tried, if you could punch up camera 2, and we do this some in the mornings right now, is they will have an anchor come over, if it's some kind of weather-specific story, and speak with the meteorologist who's here. Again, even with the extra lights and Katina standing closer to the lights that we have, she still looks really dark as opposed to the main set. So again, just adding more lights here I think would be very beneficial if possible. And again, I would like to get your thoughts and recommendations on any of this so I could pass it along to Jerry and Blake. But yes, and also it's kind of a working shot that we use in the Weather Center that we'll use during severe weather if they're actually actively looking at the radar or whatever. We'll use this, and sometimes it's kind of a bump shot that we'll use on the weekend with perhaps a slow zoom out. As you can see, John looks fairly dark there as well. So again, any thoughts that you have about it, what you think we need to add? I'd appreciate it if you could get back to me, and I can run it up the chain to Jerry and Blake and see what we can come up with. All right, Mr. Weaver, this is one of our shots that we use in the morning show for our local Memphis Live show. This whole end of the studio, they tend to move around. Sometimes they'll be over in front of the duo. Sometimes they'll be kind of all over, just depending on what the guests are, how many guests there are, and things like that. But yeah, Mr. Weaver, anything we can add on this end, just to help the lighting in the morning and in the evening whenever we have our anchors here. One thing that I noticed is we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 2-lighter backlights for this whole area, and only 4 in the front. So if they're not nearly as spread out as the ones in the back are, I don't know if it's possible to get some more 2-lighters to add to the front, just to help blanket the area a little bit more in light, or to take the backlights that are back there, make those 1-lighters, and then move these 2-lighters to the front. I don't know if that is something that you would recommend or not, but yeah, but that is certainly something that we have looked at, and again, Jerry wanted me to get your opinion on it. But as you can tell, we'd really like to use this far left side of the DuraCurve set. But Yvette here, this is one of our hosts in the morning. As you can tell, she looks fairly dark right there. And by comparison, I'll go stand next to her, although I don't have any makeup on or anything. But we have, I'm a little tall, but we have Yvette here, and then I'm Lauren, I'm the other co-host. And even I look kind of dark in this corner. Brandon, if you want to come in here, because my ugly mug does not deserve to be on TV. But yeah, if we could add some more lights to this far side of the DuraCurve, as you can tell, I mean, Brandon is, from what I can tell, Brandon and Yvette look almost the exact same color here. And it's just extremely dark on that side. So again, your thoughts, suggestions would be greatly appreciated for that as well. Oh yes, one more thing. You had added 2 lights to the chroma key wall for Paul, and we would end up turning them off whenever we had any of Lauren in the morning there or Sean on the weekend. We've left both of those lights in place for whenever we do have any of our darker skinned people move to the chroma key, and we'll turn those on specifically for that. And it does help a lot better than not having them on. But just in case you were remembering hanging this stuff, those are still there, and we keep them there for that purpose alone. But if we do turn them on and someone with lighter skin is there, it tends to wash them out. So we kind of turn them on and off for that reason alone. I think, Mr. Weaver, I don't know if it's possible to just simply get more of these 2 lighter panel lights that we can just spread out across the front here for this whole end, because like I said, they do move around a lot in the morning. And it's, you know, sometimes it's a foot that way, it's 2 feet this way, it's a foot back, a foot forward, just something to help wash the whole area in a lot more light, if that's possible. Okay.